it's going to be hard, and it's adjustments that we all need to make.
The whole war thing was, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I just went there because I was asked to. I think I was still numb. Thomas Zima, Sergeant, Army. My last day in the field, and I was in a place called Ban Me Tuot in the central highlands of Vietnam. It's near the tri-border of Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. And the Ho Chi Minh Trail went through that area. That was an area of operation. My last day was I got up, there was a helicopter coming in to take me away and bring me home. And I opened up a little bottle of scotch that I had bought prior to going there. And tried to drink it, but it went bad. But I still have that little bottle today. I emptied it out, cleaned it up, of course. But, and that was it. I mean, I went into a rear, what they call base camp, and I had all my forms filled out and ready to catch a plane to Cam Bay. And then from Cam Bay, went to Okinawa. From Okinawa, went to Seattle, Washington. I developed a great problem with anxiety, and back then they really weren't dealing with PTSD as they know it today. They called it shell shock back then. But I didn't really have any idea what the anxiety was, whether it was caused by my trauma or anything I did in the service. So I self-medicated with alcohol, and then later I was prescribed a very strong drug called Klonopin, and I got addicted to that. And so for the better part of 40 years, I was drinking and drugging. And then when I got here, all the pieces started coming. I had a stroke, and that was God's way of telling me time is up. I came here and followed all the programs, and on a very good road of recovery now.
One of the A's that knew me from somewhere, she said, Artie, when they brought you in here, I thought you weren't going to live a month. She said you were in bad shape. And I'm still around. My niece got me here. She said, this is a beautiful place. Uncle Artie, this is where you belong.
Would you say that living here has helped you?
I think so, yeah. A lot, yeah.
Keith Johnson. I was an E1. I started as E3, but I went down to E1. There were some logistical things that took place. And I was in the U.S. Navy, but I was stationed with the Marines. I was a hospital corpsman. So it was a tradition within the family. And, you know, at the time, jobs were scarce. I decided to make a choice to join and, to follow the legacy that my grandfather, father, and other family members did. It was a great choice for me at the time.
Yeah, my name is Bill Woodbury. I'm the Veteran Service Officer for the town of Wyndham.
My name is Gary Pomo, but most people know me as Pone. We're both Vietnam veterans and we've been friends forever.
Gary enlisted in the Navy. I enlisted in the Army. Same time.
Yeah, we were enlisted.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of politics involved in this, and basically out here in the field we find it's better just to try and work with what we can and let them try and do their job up there.
Because over the years there's been a lot of changes. I mean, everybody tries to tell me to keep me posted.
It's very tough to keep up with. We just before you guys got here, we had a guy call that I'm working with who's trying to put together a claim. And 2 years ago, I could take a piece of toilet paper, write his name and social security number on it, and say, I wish to file a claim for tinnitus, sleep apnea, whatever, and send it to the VA, and they would establish a date of filing. And if I send it on Friday, they got it on Monday, that Monday would be the date of filing. And it might be 2 or 3 years before they adjudicated the claim and granted him compensation, but they would have to pay back to the date of filing, which might be $70,000 or $80,000 tax-free. So, but now, some bean counter, like we said, figured it all out, and they're not going to pay that money anymore. So now it's up to us in this office and the veteran to gather together all the evidence. Soldiers, Sailors, and Marines Fund is a fund that's pertinent to the state of Connecticut only, and there's always a politician trying to grab it. It's $56 million. It was started after World War I by the cigarette tax, and it's for veterans. It's strictly for veterans and their families. Every governor that I know of for the last 35 years has tried to grab it one way or another.
Because in the wake of the wait list problem that emerged in Arizona, we passed another measure, the Access to Veterans Health Care Act, which is about trying to reduce the wait time for people who are trying to get appointments, across the board, whether it's, for orthopedic services for a bad knee or mental health services. I mean, they cover the whole gamut. And this morning, the Associated Press actually released a story that showed that Connecticut's wait time is actually 50% lower than the national median. Again, I think that the team that we have in West Haven and a lot of the staff that we have in Eastern Connecticut at those two clinics are doing an outstanding job about really trying to focus on the calls that come in, getting the appointments set up, and just making sure that people aren't sort of stranded and sort of voicemail hell, trying to wait for a call back to get an appointment. One of the things that we accomplished just recently is that they pulled out the entire phone IT system, which was ancient, and now they put in a modern system where you actually talk to a person. You're not going into just a voicemail recording, and that's really helped in terms of trying to knock down those wait times. If I had to sort of point to what I think was the most important initiative that I was involved in on the Armed Services Committee that have benefited veterans and active duty military, it's the post 9/11 GI Bill for education. Again, the GI Bill was created at the end of World War II by President Roosevelt to help the millions of drafted, enlisted military that were returning to American society, and kind of were trying to deal with the big question about what's next. And it provided basically a grant to pay for college, pegged to a 4-year public university in the state in which the military member lived. So it would be UConn for a Connecticut member of the military, as well as a living stipend, so that they actually could, have something to pay the bills with while they were studying. That benefit had deteriorated over the decades since the late 1940s. And so a couple of years ago, we enacted the post 9/11 GI Bill, which restored the educational value of the stipend in terms of paying for tuition, room and board, and the living stipend. And it also allowed active duty military to extend that benefit to spouses and children, which was not the case before. So, again, whether you're somebody who's departing military service and, again, trying to deal with the big question about what's next, this is a benefit that really provides, a gateway to acquire new skills or degrees that, every study in the world shows, increases your earning potential. And the GI Bill is one of the most successful social programs in American history. I mean, for every dollar that was put into the GI Bill, the U.S. economy got back 7 in terms of the growth that it created for the individuals who use the benefit, as well as the U.S. economy. So that never happened. I mean, there wasn't a stampede out of the military service, but nonetheless, it's provided just a great help for people who are, again, trying to sort of reinvent themselves after they leave the military service.
Well, we couldn't even get into the system when we came home.
Yeah, you know what? That's probably been a beef with us for a long time, was the GI Bill. But when we came home, the GI Bill existed, and it was a really good bill.
Yeah, good
but
deal.
you weren't very educated about it. And if you came from, I hate to keep going back, blue collar family. My father was a hardworking man. His father weren't college people. They didn't go to all of that. So there was no one to guide you and, hey, let's take advantage of that. Get yourself into this and do this. I'm not saying that everybody, many people took great advantage of it, but they had guidance that the military didn't give you guidance.
For example, the University of Connecticut didn't even have a Veterans Affairs office in 1969. I worked for UConn in data processing for 6 months up there in 1969, and I'm with another veteran, Dick McCall.
Oh, yeah.
And we tried to find out how to get the GI Bill up and running for us, and there was nobody on the campus that worked with veterans.
And today it's different. Like Woody said, when we went in, the recruiter, if you were going to enlist, would tell you, we're going to give you this, this, and this. And then you go to boot camp and it all goes away. And there's nothing you can do. Today, when they join the military, if they make a contract for something and they don't give it to that person, they're able to leave. They can get out. They would just, back when we did it was something.
I think the biggest thing about what I like now, especially for your combat arms, is that there's a cohesive before they go. The unit that goes as a unit. They've trained as a unit. They've been together for quite some time, and there's a familiarity that they will breed strength under fire, and I think that's very, very important, and I really like that. And plus, like I said, the tours are shorter. I think that's important. The guys are doing an average 5 or 6 month tour. For us, it was a minimum a year.
Right.
And a lot of guys were volunteering. I was involved.
And the other thing that's really important that today, if you're in the military today, they would come home as units.
Yeah.
We didn't come home as units. I got on a plane, sent me home. He got on a plane, sent him home. When his time was up, you went home by yourself on a plane, with recommendations of when you get to California, go in the bathroom and put your civilian clothes on.
Yeah.
As Woody said many times, take your uniform off.
It can be a good life. I mean, there's a lot of advantages to joining the service. If you limit your thoughts that you think you're going to go to war and things of that nature, I think you pretty much set that kind of stuff aside. There is certain requirements that you have to complete. Education, you can get a good education out. There's a lot of good things that can happen with the service. I don't know everything about the service now. I didn't know everything back then, but it has improved over the years.
It's not ordinary thinking, so you're coming back to a world in which, okay, you're taught to kill, okay, so to speak. But when you come back, you have to go through a transition, and it involved, for me, counseling, mentally, physically, so on and so forth, and it takes time, and it is an adjustment you have to make.
My new career now is to help veterans. I'm a recovery support specialist who went to school, got certified by the state, so I help people with alcohol and drug problems. I'm also a sponsor to several veterans that need some guidance and be their friend. And that's what I do. That's my new career. When I get tired of this place, I'm buying a house down the ocean, and I'm going to retire and play golf.
I'm a student, and I study social work, but I specialize in forensic services, okay? This is my first award I got on May 1st for being a multiple Dean's List student. And I have this that just came, and which I'm very proud of. For me, I'm a student. I'm going to continue I'm continuing at Central Connecticut State to get my bachelor's, and I will continue after that.
Take time to unwind. Rebuild your relationship with your family. Take the time and plan out somewhat of a future, whether you want an education, what you want to do. Stabilize your life a little bit, because service life is a lot different than civilian life. And I'd like to see, just to take the time, come back, enjoy what the country has to offer, enjoy your life a little bit, enjoy your family, and give yourself time to think about what you want to do for the future. It seems like the world is in a rush. It's got to be done right now. Step back a little bit. Take your time. There's a lot to offer out there.